Hi, welcome to our podcast. I'm Jane Wilson, CFO of Project 31.
I'm Jennifer Herod, the breast nurse navigator with Project 31.
So we hear a lot from some of our survivors that are going through treatment or even have finished treatment that they still are experiencing fatigue and insomnia sometimes. So let's talk about, they're kind of two separate things. They work together, but let's talk about fatigue first.
Okay. Well, and I think, it hits so much of the time with the breast cancer world. Just because you're going to have those sleep problems that lead to fatigue.
Of course.
So I think, a lot of times we need to look at, are we sleeping well?
Right.
Are
our drugs causing something to keep us from sleeping, or just even like I know when I was doing chemo, like fatigue is a symptom of chemo.
Right. So,
radiation, same thing.
Mm-hmm. So what can you do to help manage that fatigue,
Right. So what do you tell ladies when they go, I'm just so tired all the time?
Well, I think number one, look at, like you said, your sleep issues.
Mm-hmm.
Your, as far as when are you sleeping? How much time are you prioritizing for your sleep? Do you have a good sleep hygiene?
Right.
You
Is your room comfortable? Those kinds of things.
The temperature. If you're taking a nap throughout the day, are you making sure it's not longer than an hour? Because that's going to interfere then with your nighttime sleep. So are your sheets clean? Is your room dark? Are you going to sleep and waking up at the same time every day?
Right.
That helps.
That does help. Because, for me, I know a lot of my sleep quality comes around the temperature of the room.
Oh, yeah.
If the room's too hot, I won't sleep.
Yes,
It can be like an ice box, I'll sleep, but if it's too hot.
Oh, and you have hot flashes, I do, so I'll wake up in the middle of the night going, oh my goodness, get everything off of me, where's my fan? So yeah, that's a huge thing.
Another thing about talking about sleep quality is getting off screens early.
Yes.
Especially screens that are close up to your face, iPads, iPhones, computer screens. You need to be off of those 2 to 3 hours before you even think about closing your eyes.
Definitely. And, also having a plan to help you relax before you go to sleep. Whether it be, I'm going to take a nice, hot, relaxing bath. I'm going to read a book before I go to bed. Making sure you're not drinking caffeine or alcohol about 6 to 8 hours before you go to bed, because that's going to keep you up too. For me, I can't drink things after 8 p.m. at night because I'll be up all night going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I think those are real things. But definitely looking at the things we can do to kind of help relax our brain.
Shut it off.
Yeah.
And I do think, like you said a minute ago, kind of trying to have a schedule that's similar day after day after day really does help. I notice if I stay up really late one night, invariably you would think, oh, I'm so tired, I'll fall right asleep.
No.
And sometimes that's the night that you get the least amount of sleep because you don't sleep as well. If you had purposely gone to bed a couple hours earlier, And I get it. We're moms. We're busy. We're wives. We've got one more load of laundry we're going to put in, one more person we're going to help with homework, one more, all the things. I get it. But at the end of the day, to kind of be your best and not just be worn slick all the time, you do kind of have to put boundaries around your bedtime.
You do. I do.
I do.
My daughter knows. I'm like, I'm tired. I'm going to bed.
Right.
She's like, okay, we'll talk tomorrow about this.
Exactly.
I'm like, I love you, but my brain is gone right now. I can't focus.
Right. And I do think for me, it's easier, like we're coming into getting ready to be daylight savings time. I know in the winter, it's easier for me to have a regular bedtime because it's dark at 5 o'clock. So it's been dark for a long time. You can go to bed. As we approach summer, and it's nicer out and you want to be outside and it's warm and the sun's up till
Yeah.
9:30, you know.
Yes.
It's harder to force yourself to kind of adhere to those earlier bedtimes, you know.
It really is.
And that can be really important, though. I do want to talk about how some drugs kind of interfere with your,
Right.
not just sleep, but just fatigue in general as well, like contribute to that
Right.
overall sense of I'm just exhausted. Like I'm drained.
Well, and I think talking to your doctor about that, look at what medications are you taking? Could they be causing that? And what time of day are you taking them?
Exactly.
You know, that can make a big difference.
Can you switch it up and take it at night or take
Exactly.
it some other time so that the extreme fatigue happens when you're asleep?
Exactly. So making sure you're having those conversations with your doctor. I'm fatigued. Keep track of when you're fatigued. Keep track of, on a scale of 1 to 10, how fatigued was I that day?
And what did I do? Was it a normal
Yes,
day or was
yeah.
it an abnormal day?
Exactly. I think those can all make a difference. So keep a journal of how your fatigue was. That way when you go to the doctor, you can say, this is what I did. Did I do anything different this day? Because there's so many things that can cause the fatigue. Chemo, radiation, surgery, low blood counts.
Well, I know like the chemo, they give you steroids too. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
those make you jittery too on top of all of that. So you're not, even when you do rest, you're
It's
not
a good
resting.
sleep. Yeah. Your hormone levels
Yeah.
can make a big difference. And I know with breast cancer, hormone levels, oh yeah.
They're all over the place sometimes.
Depression. Depression can definitely do that. Electrolyte imbalances, your hydration.
Right. For real. That's a real thing because I know when because sleep is so important to me. Like if I don't get good sleep, I'm wrecked.
Right.
And so I try to really, like, how long was I asleep? Did I sleep good? You know, like I have all those
Yes.
apps and all the things. But because it's real important to me. And I've been working on a lot of these things
That's good.
because as I've gotten older, my sleep's gotten worse.
It tends to.
But hydration is key. And how late did I eat?
Yes. That's a huge thing. As
Like
well.
I found, I know why old people eat at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
I do that now.
I get it now.
And I get why I need to drink more water at the beginning of the day rather
Yes,
than
instead
the
of the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are definitely some real things. I think also look at, a lot of times the fatigue may be caused by, if we're not sleeping because of our fear of recurrence.
Yeah, you
maybe
can't shut your mind
anxiety.
off.
Yeah. I've told a lot of people, for me, whenever I was going through my diagnosis and my treatment, I kept a journal by my bed because these feelings and anxiety would start, oh, I need to do this tomorrow. What about this? So I would, right before bed, journal and write down, these are the things I'm worried about or I'm thinking about or I need to do tomorrow. Okay, that's written down. I can think about that tomorrow.
Brain dump it in the middle of the
Yes.
night. Yeah.
I have to because otherwise your brain just keeps going. And I use the Calm app a lot just to have those bedtime stories or
It's a good distraction.
just to kind of get your mind off of it. And my husband thinks I'm crazy, but I love the cricket sound.
Do you?
That or locust.
Does it not bother him?
Oh,
Is
it
he
drives
okay
him
with it?
crazy,
Oh.
so I have to go to sleep before him if I'm doing that. He's
I love
like,
it.
I don't
I
get
can't do
why
it.
you like that. But it reminds me, I guess, of childhood,
Sure.
sleeping with the window open
Sure.
and listening to that. So things that you can kind of do to help.
Well, there's a
calm that
ton of
mind.
meditation type sleep apps out there now,
There
which,
are.
I mean, even like on YouTube, I've noticed there's all kinds of like 8 or 10 hours of calm music
that's
that if you
great.
want to just turn it on, I wouldn't have the screen on, but
Mm-hmm.
like if you could have it on your phone or whatever and just have like it'll just play all night long if you really
Need that.
need that all night. Now
Mm-hmm.
I've never done the all night thing, but But, sometimes an hour or so of it is really beneficial, but I've seen them up to 8 or 10 hours long.
Wow. Yeah, I think that would drive my husband absolutely
Oh,
batty.
Bill could never, he would, no. But you got to know what works for you. And I honestly, if I told him that was the only thing that worked for me, I'm sure I could find some, he'd be okay, or I could find some headphones or something. But there's all kinds of insomnia type
There are
calming apps and
and
devices.
also to help with fatigue, there's complementary therapies that they talk about, such as yoga.
Right.
That can sometimes help. Sometimes, believe it or not, we're so tired and we're fatigued, but walking can help with that as well, exercise.
As long as it's not a super high energy thing at 9:30 at night.
Exactly, yeah.
Don't do that.
No.
But a nice evening stroll, getting all that fresh air, a little bit of vitamin D, it's really good for you. Another thing I've noticed too is, and this seems completely unrelated, but in my world, it's worked. I go see the chiropractor once a month because what I was noticing that when I let it go longer than that, when I wait till there's a problem, then I don't sleep as well. But if I stay on top of it and just let him kind of, work me over, it takes,
Get you back in shape.
Yeah, get me back in shape. Then I will sleep so much better.
That's great.
So I go once a month. I'm sure there are people who go more often or less often, but for me,
I go every 2 weeks.
yeah, there you go. For me, once a month is enough, but I don't have any real, issues. But that helps my sleep a lot.
That's a great idea.
I've noticed it because he had to cancel one week, and I felt like I didn't sleep that whole I'm sure it was psychological, but
Oh, no, I believe it.
but I just was like, oh, my neck is stiff and my back kind of hurts, and
Exactly. Yeah, I know some people do Reiki and believe, that helps them as well. Nutritional counseling can sometimes help with fatigue.
Sure, and because they can identify real quickly if you're if you're having too much sugar in your diet and things like that, they can really help you identify that. And I think there's so much sugar just in our diet in general, accidentally.
There is in mine. I don't know if it's accidental though.
Well, I was trying to be generous, but you know what I mean? Like there's just sugar in everything. And so then I think a nutritionist can really help identify, no wonder you're not sleeping. You have so much sugar coursing through your veins that it's keeping you jacked up all the time.
Right. Acupuncture.
Acupuncture was huge for me.
Was it?
Yeah, it kind of helped a lot of things that were kind of going wrong with me.
So I think those are all, they call them complementary. They'll help with the traditional medicine and help to kind of relieve some of that fatigue. And then again, talking to a counselor.
Sure.
If you're needing to kind of work through some of your stresses, your fears, your anxiety, and talking with your doctor to run tests and make sure everything.
Right, sure there's not something else going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Melatonin can help, although I didn't want to take melatonin every night for the rest of my life.
Right.
Like I didn't want to do that. So, but it definitely can help if you're going to, if I get on an airplane, I'll take some melatonin. I don't like to take like true straight up sleeping pills.
Right.
But I will take some melatonin on a plane just to, if there's a slim chance I might doze off, I want to be able to do that. Right.
Definitely.
But you definitely could take some melatonin or some things like that. Obviously, check if you're being treated. Check with your doctor on that.
Right.
If that's a good option for you.
I think another thing with fatigue, talking still about fatigue, is conserve your energy.
Yeah.
Know while you're going through treatment, especially, know when you have the most energy in the day, and try to focus the things that you have to get done. Prioritize, what do I have to get done today, and try to get those things done when you have the most energy.
Who needs me?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Who needs me? Because if they don't need me, if Jennifer would do just as well, then send Jennifer, right?
Delegate.
Delegate, absolutely, because you don't have to do everything that you've always done.
Right. But I think that's, as mothers, you
It's hard
think,
to give it up.
I have to do this. Well, guess what? you know, there's somebody else that can help. There's friends, there's family members that always say, what do you need?
Right.
Oh, I don't need anything. I'm good.
Well, plug in your Walmart run and let them
Yeah.
go pick it up and bring it home and put it in your
Exactly.
cupboard.
I'm sure they would love to help with that, or help with picking up around the house, or help.
Pick up your kids from school, whatever.
Exactly. Watch your kids so you can get a nap. I mean, whatever it is.
Sometimes you just have to ask. You have to think to ask. And I think sometimes in the moment, you're just so exhausted, you don't even think to ask.
Right.
You kind of have to ask on the front end, not in the moment, right? You have to say, ooh, Thursday looks like it's going to be a kind of a full day.
Yeah.
Maybe I better,
Offload
plan for
some
that.
of this. And I think even, if you can, going into your treatment, think about what are things that I can, as people ask me, what do you need?
Keep a
Ask
list.
them to help. Yeah. Keep that list and say, oh, here you go. I need you to do this.
I keep stuff on my phone all the time, like just little things I don't want to forget about.
Yes.
So, I mean, it can be anything from I'm out of half and half to, don't forget to call the dog groomer,
Right.
I mean, it can be so if you kept a little list like that of when because people will ask you, and that's exactly how they'll say it. Let me know if you need anything. As a matter of fact, here are the 6 things I need. Are you up for any of those?
Right.
And often people, they just want a direction. They really do want to
don't know.
help. They really do want to help. They just don't know how to help.
Yeah, I'll mow your yard. I'll take your trash to the curb and just little things that can help you conserve that energy when you're fatigued.
For sure.
So
Fatigue was such a real thing for me. I just remember thinking, like, there has got to be another level of, like, tired. I just felt like I had the flu all the time when I was going through chemo. I just felt like putting one foot in front of the other was a little too much, even. So, yeah, figuring that stuff out took me longer than it should have. I should have figured that out. I should have figured out sooner that I needed to let some stuff go.
But it's hard.
It is hard. But once I asked the question, who needs me?
Right.
Like, what do I need to be involved in that only I can be involved in? So that might be, loving on your children, right? You're not going to hand that off to a stranger, right? But picking up my groceries from Walmart, yeah. All day, every day. And can you continue to do that even when I don't have cancer?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, even with, if you don't have the energy to give the love to your kids that you really used to or you want to, there's family members and friends out there and people at school that'll take and love on them.
Yes, for sure. And sometimes they just want to sit by you and, like they're good. They just want to know you're okay.
Exactly.
That's all. They just want to know you're okay. It depends on how old your kids are, of course. But
if they're teenagers, they may not want to sit by you.
I don't even care. Like, I'm good.
Are you breathing? Do you have a pulse? Okay, bye. I'm going out.
I'll be back later. But yeah, knowing who needs you. And for me, once I could answer that question, then I was like, okay, well, then I don't need to be involved in that.
Right.
Like somebody else can feel, like at work, because I continued to work when I was doing chemo and full time. And it was like, do I need to be in that meeting or can anybody be in that meeting?
That's smart.
Because if anybody can be in that meeting and download that information to me, I'm going to sit here and get the stuff done that only I can do.
Right.
Right?
Right. And then, insomnia goes in with that fatigue as well.
Yeah, because you're worried about all that.
Yeah, you're worried, you can't sleep, your medications are keeping you up like we talked about. And they say that a person diagnosed with cancer has 2 to 3 times higher risk of having insomnia than everybody.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I definitely understand.
Is that all? 2 or 3 times, not 100 times?
I agree with that. And people diagnosed with cancer, normally about 30 to 50% of those patients do have insomnia.
Yeah. I remember telling a friend of mine, I was like, if there was just like a switch in my brain where I could turn it off at night.
Oh, that'd be so helpful.
Wouldn't that be wonderful? Because I felt like the moment I laid my head on the pillow, my mind went, and what about this? And what about that? And what about all these other things? And what about stuff you couldn't fix, stuff you could fix, stuff that didn't matter, stuff that did matter. you know, planning my own funeral, you know, who was my husband going to marry after I was gone? I mean, you know, like you just go down these rabbit trails, you know, and if I needed just an off switch.
Right.
But I didn't have one. So.
Yeah. So then we're trying to figure out ways to kind of manage that, which I know we've kind of talked about the sleep hygiene and all of that.
And that does help
Yes.
a lot, a great deal.
And then if you're unable to really control your insomnia and help with that, talking with a doctor, letting them know, because there's sleep doctors out there, sleep physicians, they can help you with this. If you need to take a medication to help you just during this time, there's nothing wrong with that.
No. And sometimes even like a mild antidepressant will help with that.
Definitely.
I know my doctor offered that to me when I complained about just all the things we just talked about. And so don't be afraid of that. If they're on board with it, you don't have to take it the rest of your life, right?
Just during that period of time sometimes.
Yeah.
And because anxiety and depression play a huge role in your sleep and going to sleep and staying asleep.
For me, it was staying asleep. I could go to sleep. I couldn't stay asleep.
Right.
And that was always the worst part of it, because you're like, oh, I had it. I was so, like, I was asleep. I did it. I was asleep. And then I woke up. So I think a lot of that, for me, it was once I figured out temperature and don't wear too much pajamas, you know, don't wear long pajamas. Yeah. I mean, like I had to really adjust because the hot flashes were just ridiculous. And sometimes a hot flash is going to wake you up no matter what. But.
Exactly. Yeah. Hormones and all of that. So adjusting the things you can adjust, talking to your doctor about that. If you're having leg cramps or restless legs at night, which I know,
those are real.
Treatment can definitely bring that on as well. Talking with your doctor about those as well. You know, I think sometimes vomiting and nausea. Yeah, they can definitely play a part. So having some things on hand to help with that too.
Right. I know my doctor prescribed a compounded nausea medicine. That there's a compounding pharmacy in Edmond that would make it up for me, and it was actually really good. So if you've tried all the normal things, like don't give up. Like if it's not working for you, don't give up. There might be you just need to ask. There might be another answer. But I know fatigue sometimes will keep you, you're like, I just can't even, I'm so exhausted. I don't even want to call them and beg them for this, you know. So, but don't give up.
Exactly. Don't give up, because there are so many different medications nowadays that doctors can prescribe to help you with the side effects, the symptoms that are going on. So just having that frank, honest conversation. And sometimes you can't, if you're fatigued, you can't remember to ask those, to keeping that journal and saying, you know, these are the nights I was awake, these are the things I need help with.
Right.
I'm having leg cramps, I'm having hot flashes, and just having those honest conversations with your doctor. Because if you write them down, then once you get there, you can remember to say them.
That's it right there, because you think you'll never forget.
Oh, yeah.
And you get in the moment, and they're talking to you about something else, and then it's just gone until the next time.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and taking somebody with you to those appointments that can be your secretary, that can take notes. And I think knowing who you can take to those appointments.
Yeah, not my husband.
Sometimes, yes.
Not my husband, who I love a great deal, but is not a good secretary.
Right. So knowing who you can take.
Right.
And take that person with you to say, hey, I have your notebook over here, and it says that you were supposed to ask this question, and you haven't yet. Because I know for me, just the anxiety of the whole diagnosis, my mind just dumped. Being a nurse, it didn't matter. My mind dumped.
Isn't that funny? Because you would think you'd have just such a grip on that.
Oh,
You'd just be like, I got this. I recognize all of this.
Yeah, and it was like Charlie Brown, and I heard nothing. So.
Well, I'm glad it's not just me then.
Oh, no. Thank God for my best friends that came up and stayed with me and went to my doctor's appointments. They made some great notes, and then I'd get home, and a few weeks later I'd look down and go, oh, that's what we said. I know, right? So
yeah, you can't remember all that stuff. Well, I think we've got some really good useful tools here, especially around the insomnia part.
Yes.
And you know, go, like we said a minute ago, going to bed at the same time. I think if I could advise somebody to do one thing, if you can only wrap your brain around doing one thing, it's try to have a routine, a bedtime routine that's similar, because for me, that's helped a lot.
And I think give yourself grace.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself
Absolutely.
grace during this time. You can't be, like you said, everything to everybody. You
No,
know?
it's not the time for that.
No.
You can do that later.
Exactly. Just take care of yourself and take care of your valuable energy.
Right, because there's only so much of it to
Yes.
go around. It's in limited supply, especially when you're going through treatment or recovering from a surgery or whatever. Yeah.
Take
Don't
control
overdo
of
it.
that and just love yourself and give yourself grace.
That's good advice. Really good advice.
So, well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today. We appreciate it. Don't forget to go on there and like us. We appreciate everybody tuning in.